The greatest comeback in WPIAL championship history? Now it's on to the state semifinals for 6 WPIAL teams. And how about a little hoop talk? Basketball season starts this Friday. Welcome to another edition of the Varsity Extra podcast here on the Post-Gazette Sports YouTube channel. I'm Mike White of the Post-Gazette, along with Post-Gazette Sports high school sports coordinator Keith Barnes. And we are going to preview those 6 teams in the state championships, talk about some takeaways from the WPIAL championships, and basketball starts Friday. So we're going to give you a little preview of the basketball season, all on this edition here on the Post-Gazette Sports YouTube channel. But before we do that, all that talking, Keith, you have something to talk about, don't you? Dave & Buster's?
Absolutely. Sports fans, when the game's on, there's only one spot you need to be. Dave & Buster's in Homestead. Catch every play on massive HD TVs, fuel up with fan favorites like wings and burgers, and keep the fun going with the latest games and ice cold drinks. Whether it's happy hour, game day, or just a night out with friends, Dave & Buster's Homestead is where Pittsburgh goes to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. Proud sponsor of the Post-Gazette Sports WPIAL channel. And as we're talking about the WPIAL, we got to talk a little bit about the WPIAL finals this past weekend. 4 great games. Mike, what was your biggest takeaway from that?
Well, I'm going to give you 3 takeaways. First one, and we can go one by one. The first one, the Peters Township Pine-Richland game, a memorable game. A lot of people, including media members, were saying, and rightly so, and fans, one of the greatest comebacks in WPIAL championship history. Well, they were wrong. It was the greatest comeback in WPIAL championship history. So, Keith, what I did was I have box scores back to the early 1980s of every WPIAL championship game. Look through those. And then I was able to look through the scores of the olden days. Now you're talking 110 years of WPIAL championship games. The first one was in 1915, but they didn't score many points back then. And I was able to look at a few other things and figure out the greatest comeback in the second half of any WPIAL championship game. No team had ever trailed by 19 points in the second half and come back to win a championship. So Peters Township, the great one. You are the GOAT of comebacks in WPIAL championship history. That's why one takeaway. Now, how about one for you?
What I thought was just how good Avonworth was. When you watch what they did against Amani Christian, they completely made them a one-dimensional team, which is kind of what they were with Gabe Jenkins and David Davis, running that offense they run. But the Avonworth offense and what it was able to do is just so amazing to watch. And this is a team that beat Aliquippa. This is a team that beat Thomas Jefferson. And this wasn't Aliquippa without Marcus Council. They beat Aliquippa. This is a team that could have easily won the Class 4A championship this year. That's how good Avonworth is. That was my biggest takeaway.
Well, I think Luca Neal and their offense gets so much publicity. But I'm telling you what, that defense is really, really good. And they showed it against Amani. All that size and speed didn't matter too much against Avonworth. Another takeaway from me is that, you look at the crowds of the championship games, little better this year, 13,462. Now the days of over 20,000, they're gone. They're over from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. They're over. But this was one of the better years. It was better than last year, about 3,000 people better than last year. And you look at this was one of the better years in the past 5 years. They had 12,911 2023, only 9,572 in 2022. 2021, they had 16,800, but that was 5 games over 2 days. So It has gone up, and it would be better if the brackets were different in the state and they could get that 6A championship there instead of one of the smaller classifications. So a little upbeat for crowds this year, and WPIAL should feel good about that. Do you have another takeaway?
Absolutely. I'm thinking about what's Seton LaSalle did this year. And I've talked about Tim Storino, what he's been able to do with that team, but look at what they lost this season. And losing Anthony Smith right before the season, losing Trey Littlejohn right before the season, losing Khalil Taylor right before the season. And this team still came in, had one bad game against North Catholic. That was it. their season opener against North Catholic, where they were trying to figure things out, and came out and ran the table and won the WPIAL title. Tim Storino did a great job coaching this team. The players bought into what he's been selling, and for them to come out of there and win a championship and to hold Deron Barksdale down more than anybody else has so far in the last 7 or 8 games, I thought it said a lot about what the Rebels did this year. And they've got a lot of momentum going into the state tournament.
Didn't Barksdale have well over 100 yards, though?
Yeah, but he didn't score 6 touchdowns on him. He didn't score 5 touchdowns on him. He had 1. So keeping him down and keeping him out of the end zone was huge for them. And they were able to do that.
Well, I think you got to also look at the best, TJ Plack, what he did this year. I mean, undefeated, and what he did in that last game. Obviously, they made some adjustments at halftime. I think they made some adjustments just with their pep and their desire. But I don't know what he did this year or what he's done. I don't know. But my last takeaway is now, who in the heck is player of the year still? I think the waters are even muddied even more. You had to look at Keemon Spell before. Matt Sig, but he couldn't throw the ball. Spell, they didn't win the championship. Maybe not Deron Barksdale. They didn't win a championship. There's some other, Khalil Taylor. They didn't win a championship. Is Reston Lehman possibly on his way as a defensive player to winning player of the year? Think about it, Mr. Barnes.
He's a pretty good candidate. And another one you could throw out there, Roman Thompson from Central Catholic.
Yeah, he is without a doubt.
Great season, both sides of the ball. And I think he gets a little bit even though he plays for Central Catholic, gets a little forgotten about because of just how good they are and the fact that it's expected of them to be where they're at right now. But he's had an outstanding year for them, especially filling in as a running back for them for most of the season. He wasn't expected to be, that bull running back for the team, but yet there he is, and he's still an outstanding linebacker. So he's got to be up there with Lehman. I'm agreeing with you. I think it's going to be more of a defensive player this year.
All right. That's the bell. Time to move on. Let's go on. State semifinal predictions for the 6 teams, all from the WPIAL in the semifinals. First one, we're going to start in 6A. You go first. Harrisburg, Central Catholic. This game is at Mansion Park Stadium in Altoona, 7 p.m. Saturday night. Who do you like, Keith Barnes?
I hate to say it, but I like Harrisburg in this one. I really do. They were so close last year to pulling that game out in the last seconds. Central Catholic came up with a big interception, but they have everybody back from last year. They still have Messiah Mickens. They still have Kevin Brown. They still got all these guys, these top Division I players back from last year, and they're going to be hungry. They're coming in hot. Central Catholic, I think it's going to be a fight. It is absolutely going to be a knockdown, drag-off fight between these two teams. I think it's going to be close. It's going to come down maybe to whoever has the ball last, but I like Harrisburg in this one.
Harrisburg, the alma mater of Micah Parsons. They are 3-3 in semifinal games. Lost last year to Central 38-33. And they do have Messiah Mickens, who was committed to Penn State as a running back, but after James Franklin left, he's now opened up his recruiting. He was at Virginia Tech this past weekend. His other finalists now are Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Indiana. But he's not even their leading rusher on the team. That goes to Nazir Jones-Davis, who's going to Eastern Michigan. He has a little over 1,000 yards. But they also, you mentioned Kevin Brown. How about his story? He committed to Penn State, one of the top linemen in the state, committed to Penn State, opened his recruitment. Last week, he went on the Pat McAfee show, committed to West Virginia. And while announcing his commitment on the Pat McAfee show, he burned the couch. Burned the couch right there on the Pat McAfee show. I saw it. So those are some interesting things with Harrisburg. But I think it's going to be a close game. But I like Central to pull it out. I like them to pull it out. I think they'll have to do with their defense, and also Owen Herrick needs to have a big game. But I'm going to go Central Catholic.
Different. We picked straight shot, the two of us, last week.
Well, let's pick real fast. Who do you like in the Eastern game between LaSalle College, who beat Central Catholic, and North Penn, perennial District 1 power? I'm going LaSalle.
I'm going LaSalle too. I've had them as number 1 most of the year. I have to go with LaSalle.
All right, rematch of the 6A championship, maybe. A rematch of the first game of the year in the 6A championship.
First game of the year, we'll see.
5A playoffs. WPIAL team. It is Peters Township versus Bishop McDevitt, a perennial power. This is at Altoona Mansion Park Stadium Saturday at 1 o'clock. I'll go first on this one. Biggest thing for Peters Township, the WPIAL hangover. That was such an emotional game. I actually talked to James Spratt last night. Boy, it's going to be really tough to get back up for that state semifinal game. But this is a group of seasoned seniors. They were in this game 2 years ago and went to the state championship. So they've been through this before, and I think that helps. Now, they play Bishop McDevitt. I don't think this is a great Bishop McDevitt team as good as some they had in the past. But by the way, I want to clear something up. I made a mistake a little bit earlier about Nazir Jones-Davis for Harrisburg. He actually plays for McDevitt, and he's going to Eastern Michigan, and he's their leading rusher. But Mickens, going back to him for Harrisburg. But Bishop McDevitt, they don't have Stone Saunders, who's the all-time leading passer in the PIAA history. I don't know. I think Peters gets it together. I think they win. I think they go to the state championship.
I'm with you on this one. Peters Township showed me something this past week, and this is something that teams that maybe they're a team of destiny. The way they came back from 19 down, Pine-Richland had that game won. They had them stuffed, and all of a sudden Cole Neupaver popped that 74-yard touchdown, and everything changed. All of a sudden, Pine-Richland couldn't do anything right. Peters Township did everything right. And it just came together for them. And maybe that's a sign that things are going to come together for Peters Township the rest of the way. So I can't pick against the Indians after this. I just can't do it.
By the way, I know where I screwed up on that Harrisburg. A player to watch on the Harrisburg team is Elias Koch. He's a Rutgers commitment. He has 75 catches this year. So watch him in that Harrisburg game. And I'm wondering, Elias Koch, if he's by any chance related to Darnell Farrow, who was called Pepsi for Perry back in 1989 against Berwick. He intercepted a pass in the end zone on the last play of the game, ran it over 100 yards for a touchdown to clinch the championship, one of the greatest upsets in championship history over Berwick. He was Darnell Farrow, but they called him Pepsi. So I'm wondering if he's related to this Elias Koch. And why did they call him Pepsi, Keith? The Perry players told me, because look at his body. It's built like a Pepsi can. True story. True story. All right, let's. Oh, well, who had got in the 5A game in the eastern part of the state? Springfield Delco and Roman Catholic. Roman Catholic was in the championship last year. I'm going Roman.
I'm going Roman Catholic too. I mean, their only losses are like St. Joe's Prep and I think LaSalle. So you got to go with Roman Catholic in this one.
4A, Aliquippa versus Twin Valley. Now, my first question was, where is Twin Valley? Well, it's in Berks County in Alverson, PA. PA. They have never been in the state playoffs before. So this is really something to them. You talk about traditions. Never been in the state playoffs. Aliquippa, this is their 14th semifinal appearance. They're trying to go to the championship for the 11th time. Who do you like?
I like Aliquippa. I think they're riding high right now. I know Twin Valley has a pretty good running back, but they've already stopped a really good running back when they kind of contained Kimo and Spell from McKeesport. I think they're just building. Aliquippa, since they got Marcus Council back, is just kind of rebuilding this team. You've got him back. You've got Khalil Good back on the outside rather than having him at a quarterback. But you got JJ Work. He's working it at running back. That defense is just a typical Aliquippa defense. Comes to work. And the thing about Aliquippa, I know it's kind of been a weird year, a weird 2 years, especially with Mike Warfield stepping down last year and then coming back this year. This is a team that's only 2 years removed from going undefeated and winning a state title. There are players on this team, some of whom contributed. And I talked to Mike Warfield about this, and he said it's a different team, but you have that experience, and that's going to help. That's really going to help Aliquippa in this game.
Well, Twin Valley, I'm wondering if it's, there's Twinsburg, Ohio, now there's Twin Valley High School, although that's not the name of the city. But Drew Angle, got to mention him, running back for Twin Valley. He's an Army West Point lacrosse commit, but he's a really good running back. He has close to 4,000 yards for his career. Last week against Susquehanna, he ran for 283 yards. but this Aliquippa defense has gotten them to this point. That's the reason why they won the WPIAL. That's the reason why they'll win this game, and they'll move on to the state championship for the 11th time. In the other part of the state, Cardinal O'Hara versus Southern Lehigh. I'll take Cardinal O'Hara.
I'll take Southern Lehigh.
Okay, remember that. We'll mark these down. All right, let's go on. 3A semifinals. Penn Cambria versus Avonworth. This is a rematch of last year's semifinal game, won by Avonworth 16-6. Penn Cambria is 12-2. Last year was their first time in the state playoffs. They may be as good, maybe they're a little better, but they are not as good as Avonworth.
No,
Avonworth moves on. And I'll tell you right
on.
now, waiting on the other side of the state, undefeated Northwestern Lehigh for a rematch of the 3A state championship.
That's going to be a heck of a game if it gets to that point. I see it getting there. So I'm with Northwestern Lehigh as well.
You with Avonworth too?
Without a doubt.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to 2A. WPIAL champ, Seton LaSalle versus Farrell. This game is Saturday at Elwood City at 1 o'clock. Incidentally, that Penn Cambria Avonworth game is at Indiana High School Friday night at 7 o'clock. So Seton LaSalle and Farrell. Seton LaSalle says, go ahead. What do you want to say?
I think this game is very interesting for one thing, and that's the fact that last week Farrell applied to come back to the WPIAL and got told no. And you got to wonder how much of an edge Farrell's going to have coming into this game after being rejected by the WPIAL outright. And I'm seeing LaSalle is good, but I'm not sure how good they are when you're going to get a team like that that's that motivated and that angry. You're going to get a lot of angry players because they're going to use that to fuel them coming into this game. I like Farrell.
Seton LaSalle, third time in the semifinals. In 2002, they lost to Forest Hills. In 1990, they beat Perry, the defending state champ, with Greg Gattuso as the coach at Seton LaSalle at that time. Farrell, this is their 12th time in the semis, first time since 2019. Keith, this is a team that relies a lot on running the football. 9.7 yards a carry running the football. A kid named Jules Johnson. He is a jewel. He has run for 2,025 yards this year, 10.7 yards a carry. But you said the WPIAL said no to Farrell, Board of Directors. And Seton LaSalle is going to say no to Farrell also. They're going to move on to the championship game. I'm going to take Seton LaSalle. You're going to take Farrell. Other side of the state, they're back. Southern Columbia, 26th time in the semifinals after missing the PIAA playoffs last year. They will play Lansdale Catholic at Lehighton Friday at 7 o'clock. I'm going Southern Columbia. They're getting back to the championship.
Yeah, they are. As unpopular as they might be in a lot of circles, they've got a great program.
Yep, they're getting back. All right. Single A Friday night. It is the Clairton Bears against Greenville at Elwood City. Elwood City hosting another state playoff game. 7 o'clock. You go first. What do you like? What's that?
I like Clairton. I think Clairton they tightened their defense down this past week in the 8-6 game, beating Laurel. Laurel's a tough team. Laurel's a lot tougher than I thought they would be. They were good up front, but Clairton's just one of those teams. I think they're just looking forward to getting a game next week. And they're going to come in. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. I think Clairton makes it to the finals again.
Well, Greenville hasn't made it to the semifinals since 1996. They made it this year by beating a state finalist last year's Port Allegheny last week, 36-28. They got a stop at the goal line on the final play of the game to preserve the victory, but their great run will end against the Clairton Bears. Clairton's trying to go to the championship, Keith, for the 8th time, all since 2008. They will get there. Wayne Wade and the Bears are going on to the championship. On the other side of the state, you have, I really have never heard of this team, Belmont Charter versus, that must be a new school, and with Philadelphia, they pop up all the time, versus Bishop Guilfoyle, defending champ. I'm going Guilfoyle.
I'm not going Guilfoyle. I'm going for the District 12 champion. The reason is I saw Guilfoyle last week, and to be perfectly honest, I thought Westinghouse had that game. Westinghouse should have won that game. They did very foolish things. And Dante Green came out and said, basically, we need to be more disciplined. There are certain things we need to do. Westinghouse should have beaten Guilfoyle last week. And if you can't beat the City League champion and you get into this game, I like the District 12 champion to come out.
All right. There we go. There's our predictions. And now, don't forget a little bit of promotion here. This Thursday, it is a Thanksgiving tradition in Western Pennsylvania sports, and especially Western Pennsylvania high school sports. We present the Fabulous 22, the Post-Gazette Fabulous 22, the 22 best players WPIAL City League. Comes out every Thanksgiving. This is the 45-year anniversary of the first one, so you'll want to check that out. And we also, something totally different, we are going to have a ceremony to honor this year's Fabulous 22 at Dave & Buster's next Sunday. All the Fabulous 22 players will be there. It's not open to the public, by the way. But there's something different, a banquet to honor them all, guest speaker. So the Fabulous 22 will not only get on a newspaper, but we'll get honored at Dave & Buster's next weekend. Now, when we come back, football talk is done. Basketball starts in Pennsylvania this Friday. We're going to give you a preview in the WPIAL in the City League here on the Varsity Extra podcast.
Hi, I'm Post-Gazette High School Sports Coordinator Keith Barnes, along with the legendary Mike White. We're going to talk some hoops. This is Mike White's favorite time of the year, basketball season. It officially starts on Friday, and we're going to take a look at who the teams are, the number one teams coming into the season as we're kind of looking at them. Mike, let's start with the boys. What do you got in Class 6A?
Well, let's go with boys and girls together here. We'll go back and forth in each class. PIAA started this basketball thing a few years ago where they could start the season a little earlier, and you start it this weekend. There aren't that many teams playing this weekend in the WPIAL, boys and girls. I want to say there are about 20 to 23 boys games on Friday night, and the same with the girls. So a lot of teams are waiting to play their first games either next week, like on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or next weekend is a full slate of the tip-off tournaments. But we're going to give our number one teams in each classification. Where are we starting? 6A?
Let's start in 6A.
All right, I'll do the boys. You do the girls. 6A, I think there are a number of teams. I don't think there's a team in 6A that can win a state championship this year, or maybe not even get there. But I think there are a lot of pretty good teams. The depth of pretty good quality teams is pretty good in 6A this year. Number one, I think you could look at Upper St. Clair, defending champ, Mount Lebanon, even watch Woodland Hills. Now Scooter Smith is going to play some of the season, maybe. But I'm going to go Newcastle. Coming off that great football season, they were a finalist last year, lost to Upper St. Clair. I'm going to go Newcastle. They've got back Kai Cox, an all-section player, averaged 18 a game last year as a freshman. Damian Harrison, a really good player, underrated, 6'4". And their point guard will be that freshman who quarterbacked the football team, Marino Graham. So I'm going Newcastle, number one for boys 6A. Who do you have for girls?
For girls, I'm going Cannon McMillan. I mean, the Big Macs last year, I think they're going to be good. They've got a pretty good player back in Lauren Barella, the senior guard. She was all conference last year. But watch out for Upper St. Clair. This is a team that didn't win the WPIAL last year, didn't win the state last year, made it to the final in both, and they won
the WPIAL. Upper St. Clair won the WPIAL. Yeah, they lost in the state. They beat Norwin. That's
right. My mistake. Thank you for the correction. They won the WPIAL, lost in the state final, lost their head coach, but they have their new head coach. You might have heard of her. She might have been somebody that I don't know if you ever heard of Susan McConnell-Serio, but she might be a pretty good coach to bring them along to have them in a repeat. But I'm still going with Cannon McMillan to start the year.
And Cannon McMillan's really never done anything in girls basketball. But you know what's funny? I texted Susie McConnell a few weeks ago, and I texted a few other coaches, and I said, who should be the number one team in 6A? Because honestly, Keith, 6A is down, I think. A lot of the best teams lost. A lot of the best teams lost a lot of their good players. So I actually think it's down. And she said, and so did a few others, Cannon McMillan should be number one. So hey, there you got it from there. All right, let's move on to 5A. You go first. Who's the first number one 5A team?
There's no doubt. It's got to be South Fayette. I mean, this is a team that lost to Peters Township in the WPIAL championship, rebounded, won the state title last year. And Brian Bennett's he's got a couple of pretty good players back with Ryan Odeker. He's got Julia LaRue back. This is a team that is loaded. They are ready to go. I think the top challenger might be Thomas Jefferson with Kaylee D'Angelo and Maggie Spell, but I don't see anybody beating South Fayette this year. I think they're gonna make a run, and they're gonna win the WPIAL, possibly the state again.
Keith, all 5 of their starters have either committed or have a scholarship offer from Division I schools.
Yeah,
that's pretty much unheard of around here.
Loaded.
Okay, my 5A number 1 team is going to be the defending champs, Chartiers Valley Colts. The Colts will be running again this year. They don't have Jaden Davis, who was tremendous last year. But what they do have are 4 starters back from that team last year. Logan Helfrich, Danny Slizik, Jake Lewis, Julian Semplis are back. Semplis is really good, an all-section player. Slizik's very good. They're small, a lot of guards. And watch for this kid, Luca Federico. He played a lot last year and was impressive as a freshman. He's 6'5". He's a shooting guard right now. He is a player for the future in WPIAL. Could be really, really good. I've got Char Valley and Corey Dodge in his second year as the number 1 team. Lincoln Park right behind. They weren't any good last year, but they played a lot of freshmen, sometimes 5 at a time. And they got some people in the transfer portal by the name of Pratt. Josh Pratt, who probably is the number 1 player going into the year, signed with Columbia, the Ivy League, made our Fab 5 last year. He transferred from Aliquippa with his brother to Lincoln Park. So I saw them play this fall. They're going to be very good.
It'll be interesting to see if they're declared eligible for the playoffs, though. I'm not sure if they have.
They already have been. Yeah.
Wasn't sure about that. Okay, for my 4A for the girls, I'm going with North Catholic. And this is a team that's, I think Molly Rotman's got a great team coming back. She's got Brady Wayner going in her junior year, and Sam Weir, the 6-foot sophomore now. She got another year under her belt. This is a team that could be very, very good this year. Of course, the challenger is going to be Blackhawk and Oakland Catholic as usual. Aubrey Happ is back for Blackhawk, but I just think North Catholic just has just a little bit too much this year. So they're my number 1 going into the season. And
Oakland Catholic was a finalist last year, but they lost one of their best players, Kaylee D'Angelo, tore her ACL, so she's done for the year.
Yes, she's done for the year. So it's going to be interesting. Now I'm going to start in 3A. Well, this is going to be interesting to see who's going to be.
Wait. I didn't do my 4A boys. Hold on.
You didn't do 4A?
I didn't do 4A boys. Well, I think 4A boys is a little down this year. Bell Vernon lost so much, and they lost their coach, Joe Salvino, retired. Avonworth, no Rowan Carmichael, a lot of other starters. My number 1 team, same as you, North Catholic. They have one of the best 1-2 guard punches in WPIAL, I think, and especially in 4A. And Jude Rotman and Jason Fredericks, I really like those two. And watch out, they have a really good freshman. I saw him play this fall, Brandon Pickett. He's going to make a big impact for them this year. That's my number 1 team in 4A. On to 3A. You go first. Who's your number 1 3A team in girls?
Shadyside Academy. And this is going to be a battle with Greensburg Central Catholic. Again, they're playing the same section. They're going to fight each other 3, maybe 4 times this year again. The big difference, you're going to have Karis Thomas, who's back. You're going to have Cassie Sauer back, and with the inside and outside game, she's healthy now after breaking her hip last year. It's going to be interesting to see them play. But then you've got Greensboro Central Catholic with Erica Gribble. It's going to be a fun section with those two teams going at each other. But to start the season, Shadyside. They were state finalists last year. Even though they had to play without Cassie Sauer, they still made a run to the state championship game once they got their game in order. I think that's going to help them as they move on, and it's going to be interesting to see.
They lost to Greensburg at WPIAL final, though, right?
That was right after they lost Cassie Sauer, though. That was the thing. They weren't able to really kind of put their team together for a couple of games until they really got going in the state championships.
Okay, my 3A team, number 1, is in the boys. Now, there's South Allegheny, who won a WPIAL, lost to the state championship, got Drew Cook back, 1 or 2 others. Aliquippa, although they have Khalil Good back, but they lost the Pratts. This is going to maybe surprise you. My number 1 team, the Mohawk Warriors. 4 starters back from a very good team last year. 4 of them. One of them is Drew Rona, who made all section as a sophomore, and the other is one of my favorite athletes in the WPIAL, the 5-sport kid, 5 sports, played football and golf at the same time. Now he's playing basketball. In the spring, he'll run track and play baseball. Bobby Fadden, just one of the best high school players in WPIAL. Not a great college prospect. Not a great college prospect, but he has 1,702 career points. He, without injury, is going to go over 2,000 this year. 4 starters back for Coach Mike O'Lear. I'm going to Mohawk Warriors to start the season number 1 at 3A.
Sure. Here's my question: Who's the last player to have 1,000 yards passing, 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving, and 2,000 points in basketball?
Wait. 1,000 rushing,
1,000 passing, 1,000 receiving, and 2,000 in basketball. 2,000 points. Has that ever happened?
For their career, 1,000 receiving? No.
Yeah.
No. As far as 1,000 passing and rushing, and 2,000 career points, Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, I was going to say, but Bobby Fadden could be in a class by himself in basketball season.
Yeah, what an athlete! What a story is! I love that story. Okay, did you do 3A girls?
I did 3A girls. So we're up to 2A. And you can take 2A.
I'll go first in this one. You know, Jeanette's the defending champ. They have all their starters back. Marcus McGowan was an all 2A player for us in the Post-Gazette, but I'm going to go Sewickley Academy. You know, it's no secret. They're bringing players in from everywhere, from other countries. They brought in 2 6'8" guys last year, Adam Akumba and Mamadou Kane. And they're back this year. Lord knows who else they brought in. You know, people are shaking their heads about them, and you really got to wonder, but it is what it is. And they got their leading scorer back, Lucas Grimsley. He only averaged like 10 points a game, but he's back. They've got other kids back. And with those 2 big guys, I'm telling you, though, don't count out Jeanette. Don't count out Jeanette with Coach Battles. But I'm going Sewickley Academy. And I don't even know. With the players they have back, and they may have added another 1 or 2, I'm going with them.
Oh, as for the girls, Aliquippa is the defending champion, but I don't see them repeating this year. I like Neshannock. I mean,
I think they have everybody. Don't they have everybody back?
No, they graduated. They graduated their 2 top players last year. They were both seniors.
Oh, I thought they had a lot of kids back.
No, they graduated the top 2 seniors last year because they were 2A players of the year, co-players of the year. They were both seniors last year. But Neshannock has back Peyton Newman and Jaden Noge, so that's going to be
those are 2 good ones.
Yeah, they're 2 pretty good players. So yeah, I'm seeing Neshannock as the number 1 team going in 2A. And now let's go to 1A. 1A. Sarah Catholic. I think it's going to be the number 1. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic in that section. You know, Clairton obviously lost Iana Wade after a great 4-year career there. They're going to have a little bit of a fall off. Emma Larkin is still a great player at Geibel. She's a lot of what they have. They kind of work their entire offense around her. Sarah has the 2 great players with sophomore Bella Dabrowski. They have Abby Genus. I think they're going to be the team to beat in 1A this year.
My 1A team, I can't decide. They met in the championship last year. First off, there's only 12 teams in boys 1A.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of really good teams. It's really hard to find 5 teams to rank, especially this year. And only 3 of those 12 are public school teams. The rest of them are private, charter, Catholic schools. I couldn't decide between Neighborhood Academy and Sarah. They met in the championship last year. Sarah has 3 starters back. But I'm going to go Neighborhood Academy, even though they lost Player of the Year, Courtney Wallace, who's now at Yale. They don't have much back as far as starters. They do have Keydron Gilmore back. But I think they have some players back to still be number 1. And they've got some new blood and a player to watch. Julius Page Jr. is a freshman who came over from Chartiers Valley. Watch him this year, the son of former Pitt player Julius Page. So I'm going Neighborhood Academy number 1 in single A. And finally, the City League. I'll go first. Who's number 1 in the City League? You know, I think Obama could be really good this year with Ron Jackson's son back for his last year, but I'm still going to go with the Alderdice Dragons. Once they get Lucas Steed back, once they got him back from football, he's the City League Player of the Year. It's not a great Allderdice team, but with him, they're still good enough to win the championship. But Obama is right on their heels. I'll go out Allderdice.
I'm gonna hit the Dragons too. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's really interesting because Allderdice lost one of its best players from last year. She transferred to Avonworth. She's not even eligible this year to play. But they still have Bailey White, who's a 2-time City League Player of the Year. Ryan Sledge is back this year for Allderdice. I think having those two is going to be enough. They're going to be able to win the City League going away this year.
All right, that's it, right?
That's a wrap. That's our WPIAL and City League basketball preview, and as well as our state football preview. And again, thanks to Dave and Buster for sponsoring the Post-Gazette Sports WPIAL channel and the Varsity Podcast. Please follow us on Spotify and check us out on YouTube. And for the esteemed Mike White, I am Post-Gazette High School Sports Coordinator Keith Barnes. Until next week, when we preview the state finals for football.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.